Welcome back to Cloud Security Deep Dive, your go-to source for all things cybersecurity.
All things.
Yeah, we like to think so at least.
I'd agree with that. All right, let's take a deep dive, shall we, into the sometimes murky waters of cybersecurity. We're looking at a whole stack of alerts, actually, straight from CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. This is like the stuff from February 4th through the 6th, 2025.
So basically a little snapshot of what's been keeping the good guys busy over there.
Right, exactly. So to kick things off, there's something they have called the Known Exploited Vulnerabilities Catalog.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like the most, like the kind of greatest hits compilation you'd want to be on.
No, not exactly a popularity contest.
No, it's CISA's most wanted list, you could say. So it's vulnerabilities that they know are being actively exploited.
Okay, so this is the stuff that's actually being used by the bad guys out there.
Right.
And to make it even more urgent, I guess there's this thing called BOD 2201.
Yeah, right. So that's the catchy name for reducing the significant risk of known exploited vulnerabilities.
Easy to remember.
It's a binding operational directive. And that basically means that all federal civilian executive branch agencies have to patch these things ASP.
So the government's taking this really seriously. They don't want to be messing around. But I guess, what does that mean for everyone else? Can they just kind of like relax?
Well, CISA definitely strongly urges everyone, all organizations really, to follow suit. Cyber criminals aren't exactly known for their, discrimination, are they? They just go after whoever's got a weakness, right?
Yeah, it's like that saying, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link.
Correctly, yeah. So, you leave a door open, someone's going to walk through it. Doesn't matter who you are.
All right, well, let's get into the actual list then, right? We've got this week's worth of vulnerabilities that CISA has added. We've got some alphabet soup here. We're talking CVEIDs, everyone. Buckle up.
Yeah, we'll break it down for you. We'll translate the jargon.
Okay, perfect. So on February 4th, they added 4 new vulnerabilities. CVE 2024-45195, CVE 2024-29059, CVE 2018-9276, and CVE 2018-19410. So those are just numbers, but each one tells a story.
Right, they do. So let's start with the first one, CVE 2024-45195. That one affects Apache OFBiz. So this is used for e-commerce, ERP systems, that kind of thing.
The business end of things.
Yeah. So this one allows for forced browsing. So basically that means an attacker can kind of sneak into parts of a website that they're not supposed to see.
Okay, so they're bypassing security measures and seeing things they shouldn't be seeing?
Yeah, it's like, you got a VIP pass to the concert, but you didn't pay for it.
Right, definitely not good for anyone handling sensitive data then.
Nope, definitely not. Think customer information, financial records, proprietary code, all the stuff that businesses want to keep under wraps.
Makes sense. All right, then we have CVE 2024-29059, and this one impacts Microsoft .NET Framework. I know that's a big one. Lots of people use that. What's going on with this one?
Yeah, so this one is all about information disclosure. Essentially leaking data that shouldn't be public.
Okay.
It might not be like the crown jewels, so to speak, but it gives the attackers clues.
Right, so it's more like breadcrumbs leading to something bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right, that's still not ideal. Let's move on to the next two. We've got a pair here related to the Peissler PRTG Network Monitor, and those are CVE 2018-9276 and CVE 2018-19410. Now, I find it a little bit ironic that a network monitor, a tool that's supposed to be used for security, can itself be a security risk.
Yeah, it's the double-edged sword of technology.
Right, exactly. So what's the deal with these two?
Okay, so CVE 2018-9276, this one is an OS command injection vulnerability. Imagine someone being able to remotely take control of your computer.
Okay, that sounds pretty bad.
Yeah, it's not good. And then the other one, CVE 2018-19410, this is a local file inclusion vulnerability. It's basically like giving someone a master key to your house. They can access files that they shouldn't be able to reach.
So they're not only controlling my computer, but they're rummaging through all my stuff as well?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so February 4th was a rough day for cybersecurity, it sounds like.
It does seem that way, but, awareness is the first step, right?
That is true. But CISA wasn't done yet. On February 5th, they added another one. This one's CVE 2024-53104, and this affects the Linux kernel. Now, I know Linux powers a lot of things, but I'm not a tech whiz. Can you break this one down for me?
Sure. So this one is, it's an out of bounds, right?
Yeah.
Which basically means someone can manipulate memory in a way it wasn't intended.
Okay, so like a system error, but intentionally caused?
Exactly. So that could cause, anything from a crash to even worse, an attacker being able to run their own code.
All right, we'll watch out for that one. Now let's go to
Cool.
February 6th, where CISA decided to add 5 more vulnerabilities to the catalog. Those are CVE 2025-0411, CVE 2022-23748, CVE 2024-2413, CVE 2020-27574, and CVE 2020-15069. Now, one of these is a little close to home because it targets Microsoft Outlook.
Right. Yeah. CV 2024-21413. And this one's concerning, right? Because pretty much everybody uses Outlook on a daily basis. So this one is caused by improper input validation. Imagine someone's able to slip past a security checkpoint because the guards aren't really doing their job properly.
So it's kind of like a loophole that lets attackers slip in malicious code?
Yeah, like it's disguised as something legitimate.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So in this case, it could be malicious code hidden in, say, an email.
I'm starting to have trust issues with my inbox.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I'll be very careful what I open now. Okay, let's move on to CVE 2025-0411. This one affects the 7-zip file compression tool. I never thought zipping files can be a security risk.
It does seem pretty harmless, right?
Yeah.
But this vulnerability allows attackers to bypass the mark of the web security feature. So that's a mechanism in Windows that flags files that you've downloaded from the internet.
Oh, those warnings we always ignore. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So it basically bypasses that warning. So they can trick people into opening malicious files without raising any red flags.
That's sneaky. Okay, we still have a few more from February 6th, right?
Yes, we do. So next up is CVE 2022-23748. This one affects Dante Discovery. It's a protocol used for audio networking.
Okay, so that one's maybe not going to affect everyone, but it could be a big deal for certain industries, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it could allow an attacker to, interfere with or even manipulate how audio equipment operates.
Imagine like hijacking the sound system at a concert or something.
Yeah, total chaos.
That would not be good. Okay, last two then.
All right, so we have CVE 2020-29574. This one affects CyberOM OS. It's a network security appliance. And this one's a classic SQL injection vulnerability. Think of it like a secret code to unlock a backdoor into a system.
So they're manipulating database commands to gain access.
Yeah, exactly. And then finally, CVE 2020-15069. This is a buffer overflow vulnerability affecting the Sophos XG firewall.
Now, firewalls are supposed to protect us, right?
They are, yeah. Think of them like the bouncers at a club, keeping out all the riffraff.
Right, exactly.
But this vulnerability, it lets an attacker overload the firewall, with more data than it can handle, so it can cause it to crash or, behave unpredictably.
All right, not a good thing. So we've just gone through a whole bunch of vulnerabilities, each with their own little quirks. But I'm getting the sense that these aren't just random glitches. There are some patterns here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we examine these individual vulnerabilities, it gives us a peek into the bigger trends in the cybersecurity world.
Okay, well, let's connect the dots then and see what insights we can get from all of this.
All right, welcome back to our cybersecurity deep dive.
It really feels like we've uncovered a whole bunch of vulnerabilities already.
Yeah, we've got a good list going, and now I think it's time to move from like identifying them to actually understanding what they mean.
Okay, so less bug hunting and more like cybersecurity detective work.
Exactly, yeah.
I can put on my Sherlock Holmes hat for this.
Perfect. All right.
Ah.
Well, let's start with something that we see, time and again, and that's how attackers can actually exploit seemingly harmless tools.
Oh, you mean like the 7-zip one and
No.
that whole mark of the web bypass?
Exactly. Yeah. So these vulnerabilities, they really play on, the trust that we place in everyday software.
It's kind of like finding out that the friendly librarian is actually a master thief.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and it really highlights that security isn't just about having like strong defenses, right? It's also about recognizing that there could be weaknesses in places you might not expect.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have to be careful, even with the stuff we use all the time, right? You can't just blindly click OK
Yeah.
anymore.
Okay. I'll keep my skepticism levels high.
Yeah.
So, what other insights can we take away from all these vulnerabilities then?
Well, another thing that pops up a lot is how attackers take advantage of human error, especially when it comes to software development.
You're talking about things like improper input validation, which was behind that whole Outlook thing we talked about.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of vulnerabilities, they actually come from, just coding mistakes or oversights.
Yeah.
I mean, even the best developers, they're human, right? They make mistakes.
Right. So it's not always about hackers intentionally doing something bad. Sometimes it's just an accident in the code.
Yeah, and that's why, things like rigorous testing, secure coding practices, all that stuff is so important. It's about making sure we, catch those errors and make things as secure as possible.
This reminds me of, those bug bounty programs where companies will pay people to find vulnerabilities in their software?
Oh yeah, those are a great example of, being proactive about security.
Mm,
It's admitting that, hey, our software is not perfect and we want people to help us find those weak spots.
yeah, smart move. Okay, so we've got vulnerabilities that exploit trust in tools, and we've got vulnerabilities that come from human error in coding. Are there any other, I guess, patterns emerging?
Yeah, another big one is just the sheer variety of ways that attackers can get in. We've seen everything from like forced browsing and information disclosure to OS command injection and buffer overflows.
Like a buffet of attack options for cybercriminals?
Yeah, you could say that. So it
Yeah.
really, reinforces how important it is to have what we call a layered security approach
Yeah.
because no single defense is going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Right? You need multiple layers.
Like a castle, right? You've got the walls, you've got the moat, and then you've got guards posted everywhere.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And each layer needs to be strong.
Okay, so it's not enough to just have a firewall. You need like a whole strategy that covers all the bases.
Absolutely. And that strategy needs to constantly be evolving too.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the threats are changing all the time.
Speaking of evolving, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about those ICS advisories that CISA released. We talked about industrial control systems a bit earlier, but um, why should we care about vulnerabilities in those kinds of systems?
Well, ICS vulnerabilities, they're a really big deal because these are the systems that control critical infrastructure like power grids, water treatment plants, manufacturing, you name it.
Okay, yeah. So that stuff affects everyone. I mean, we use it all the time without even thinking about it, really.
Exactly. So if those systems get compromised, then things can get really bad really quickly.
I imagine like a cyber attack shuts down the power grid or contaminates the water. I mean, that's a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, it's not a good scenario.
Hmm.
And it really highlights just how crucial cybersecurity is for these systems.
Hmm.
And a lot of times they're interconnected too. So a weakness in one part can affect the whole network.
Right, like a domino effect almost.
Exactly, yeah. So that's why these advisories are so important. They're basically telling users and administrators, hey, we found a problem. Here's how you fix it before someone tries to take advantage.
Okay, so it's like a heads up from the cybersecurity watchdogs.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about being proactive and getting ahead of those threats.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground here, going from, specific vulnerabilities to the bigger picture, and then even into this world of industrial control systems. It feels like we've only just scratched the surface, though.
Yeah, it is a lot to take in. But I think we've learned some important things, right? We've seen how even seemingly innocent tools can be exploited, how human mistakes can lead to vulnerabilities, and how important it is to have multiple layers of security.
And we've also gotten a glimpse into this whole world of industrial control systems and why they're so crucial to protect. But, what does this all mean for us, the average person just surfing the web? How do we actually use this information to stay safe?
That's the million-dollar question, and we'll get into that in the next part. We'll shift the focus a bit from the global to the personal. We'll talk about some practical steps that anyone can take to improve their own cybersecurity.
All right, sounds good. Stay tuned, everybody, as we continue to unravel the mysteries of cybersecurity. And we're back for the final part of our cybersecurity journey.
Yeah, we've really covered some ground here, haven't we? Explored the treacherous landscape of vulnerabilities, look at how the attackers think, even delved into that whole world of critical infrastructure.
It's been quite an eye-opener.
Yeah, and now it's time to bring it all home, right? Answer the big question that's probably on everyone's mind. What does all this mean for me?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, we've talked about how organizations need to, patch their systems and implement security protocols and train their employees. But what about us, the average internet users? What can we actually do?
Well, it's empowering to know that even small actions can make a real difference. So let's start with the basics. Passwords.
Ugh, passwords, the bane of my digital existence.
I know, right? But they are so important.
I try to use strong and unique ones, but it's so hard to keep track of them all.
I get it, but it's a battle worth fighting. Think of your password as the first line of defense for your accounts. Using weak passwords or reusing the same password over and over, it's like leaving your front door unlocked.
Okay, yeah, point taken. I'll commit to better password hygiene. What else?
Okay, well, another thing is to be really careful about phishing scams. Those are attempts to trick you into revealing sensitive information, like passwords or credit card details.
Yeah, those emails, man. They can be so sneaky. Sometimes they look so official.
Yeah, they're getting really sophisticated. Always double check the sender's address, and if you see a link, hover over it before you click it. And be suspicious of any unsolicited requests for personal information. That's a big red flag.
Trust but verify, right?
Exactly.
Okay, speaking of trust, how do we know which software and apps are safe to use in the first place?
That's a good question. So always download software from official sources,
Yeah.
like the App Store or the developer's website directly. And be sure to read reviews and check permissions before you install anything new.
It's like checking the ingredients list before you buy food. You don't want to be ingesting anything harmful.
Exactly, yeah. And just like you wouldn't eat spoiled food, don't use outdated software. Keep your operating system up to date, keep your apps up to date, and keep your antivirus up to date too.
So it's all about being proactive and staying informed, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to ask questions or seek help if you come across something that looks suspicious. There's tons of resources out there like CISA's website, the National Cybersecurity Alliance.
It really feels like this whole deep dive has been like a crash course in cybersecurity.
I hope so.
I definitely feel more confident about navigating the digital world now.
That's great to hear. And remember, cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility.
Mm.
By taking these steps, you're not just protecting yourself, you're making the online world a little safer for everyone.
Yeah, we're all in this together.
Exactly.
All right. Well, that concludes our deep dive into CISA's cybersecurity alerts. I think we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have, yeah. Hopefully everyone out there has learned something new and feels a bit more prepared to face the challenges of the digital world.
Thanks for joining us on this journey, everyone. And remember, knowledge is power.
Got questions, drop them in the comments below, and I'll personally answer as many as I can. And hey, if you know someone who needs to up their cybersecurity game, share this video with them. Let's build a safer digital world together. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.
Until next time, stay safe out there